Hey everyone, and welcome. If you've got your ACCA corporate and business law exam on the horizon, then you are in exactly the right place. We're about to tackle a massive topic, one you absolutely have to know inside and out: corporate crime.
So let's just jump right in with the big question, right? We see it all the time. Companies make these, disastrous decisions. But what's the real line between a bad business move, a risky bet that just didn't pay off, and an actual full-blown crime? That's the line we're going to dissect today.
And we're going to do it fast. In just the next few minutes, we'll be hitting the big four. We're talking insider dealing, the whole sneaky cycle of money laundering, the super strict rules around bribery, and something that's a huge deal for your exam: the difference between a couple of types of illegal trading. So, buckle up.
All right, first on the list, insider dealing. This is all about fairness. It's about making sure the financial markets are a level playing field. The whole point of the law here is to stop people from using some secret, unfair advantage, that little nugget of information that nobody else has, to either make a quick buck or dodge a massive loss.
So, what exactly is inside information? This is so important. For something to count, it has to pass 3 tests. First, it's got to be precise. We're not talking about a vague rumor like, hey, I heard Company X is doing great. No, it has to be specific. Second, it has to be non-public. Pretty straightforward, right? If you read it on the news, it's not inside info. And third, it has to be price sensitive. This means it's big enough news that if it got out, it would actually move the company's stock price up or down. It has to have a real impact. Okay, so the law breaks this down into 3 main ways you can get into trouble. The first one's the most obvious. You can't deal using that info. Simple. But here's where it gets wider. Second, you can't encourage someone else to deal. And this can be subtle. A little nod, a wink to a friend, that could be enough. And third, you can't just pass the information along. You can't disclose it to someone who shouldn't have it. Seriously, for your exam, you have to know these 3 separate offenses. It's a classic question.
Let's switch gears to money laundering. It's an interesting contrast, actually. Insider dealing is all about making dirty money inside the system. Money laundering, though, that's about taking dirty money that's already been made somewhere else and trying to make it look clean. And there's this classic 3-stage process for it. It starts with placement. This is where the criminals have to physically get that cash into the banking system. Think about it. Small deposits spread across tons of different accounts to avoid suspicion. Then comes layering. This is the messy part. They create this incredibly complex web of transactions, bouncing the money around, often internationally, just to make it impossible to trace. And finally, you get integration. The money comes back to the criminal, but now it looks totally legitimate, like it came from a real business. It's this whole cycle designed to literally wash the money clean. Okay, let's talk about bribery. The Bribery Act is a really powerful piece of law. It has a massive global reach, and it's aimed at stamping out corruption wherever it finds it. The whole idea is simple. Business deals should be won because you're the best, not because you slipped someone an envelope full of cash. And the law comes at this from every possible angle. You've got active bribery, that's when you offer or give the bribe. And you've got passive bribery, that's when you ask for or accept one. But honestly, the real game changer, especially for companies, is this huge corporate offense: failing to prevent bribery. Think about that. A company can be held criminally liable if an employee pays a bribe, and their only defense is to prove they had solid procedures in place to stop it from happening in the first place.
All right, let's move to a really tricky situation. Imagine a company is on the brink of going bust. The directors have a massive responsibility to the people the company owes money to, the creditors. If they keep trading when they know they shouldn't, they can be held personally responsible. But the law makes a really important distinction here between 2 types of illegal trading. And this table really lays it all out. On one hand, you have wrongful trading. This is basically about incompetence or negligence. The director didn't set out to scam anyone, but they kept going when any reasonable person should have known it was hopeless. Then you have fraudulent trading. Whoa, this is a whole different level. This is about dishonest intent. This is a deliberate, calculated plan to defraud creditors. And look at the consequences. Wrongful trading, you might have to pay money back into the company. Fraudulent trading, we're talking fines, even jail time. It all comes down to that one word: intent. Okay, time for our final topic, and you're going to want to lean in for this one because it is a big deal. This is a brand new rule, and it's being added to your syllabus. So if you're taking the exam soon, you absolutely, positively have to know this. So yeah, listen up. For the 2025/26 exam cycle, there's a new corporate offense on the block: the failure to prevent fraud.
Let's dig into what this actually means, especially for the big players. This new offense is aimed squarely at large organizations. And here's the kicker. If an employee commits fraud, we're talking false accounting, anything like that, to benefit the organization, then the organization itself is guilty, just like that. The only way out? The company has to prove that it had reasonable procedures in place to stop that kind of thing from happening. This is massive. It forces big companies to stop just reacting to problems and start actively preventing them. So, when you pull all of this together, what's the one big thing to remember? It's this. For anyone in finance, in management, integrity isn't just a nice to have. It's not some optional extra. It is a hard and fast legal requirement, baked right into corporate law. And if you fail, the consequences are severe. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. All these laws we've talked about, they're trying to put guardrails on human behavior in the super complex world of finance. But with technology, with AI, with crypto, new ways to commit crimes are popping up at lightning speed. So you have to wonder, can the law, which moves so slowly and deliberately, ever really keep pace? That's something to think about, way beyond your exam. Thanks so much for tuning in.